Welcome to the,
Roll
Joint
call.
Operation and Management Committee. Apologize for these rush committees, but there are a lot of supervisors that don't like things to come up at the board meeting the last minute, so we have to have these little quick meetings, so. I need to call them order, motion to have the previous minutes. This Dennis, Ms. Wood, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, action agenda, we'll start with, Mayor, if you want to discuss page 1 there, on the Village of Lake George, 6,712.23.
Yeah, I can hit on that quickly, but this, on page 1 is a resolution request, and then the following pages, the entire packet are, the backup material that, of invoices submitted by the village for, various work. Some are, utility expenses for the telephone. The telephone, service has since been transferred into the county's name, so we're paying that directly out of the budget now. Then we've got some supplies, expenses, some turf management treatment, and then village, event attendee and other labor costs.
Now, this comes out of the fund from the parking and the,
That's right.
and the, operation. Do you have any kind of report on how much money we got there, or how, you know? I know I've asked a couple of
I
times,
know
but.
Yeah, I have it in my budget, material, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 49,000 we have in the deferred revenue code. That's what we have.
Yeah.
And that's
So this will
been-
come out, this Act 6,000 change will come.
Right, that's the way we've been handling these expenses, is just pulling it out of deferred revenue. And then any of the event revenue for, rental of the festival space goes into that same code as a revenue in.
Yeah, the last time, I guess, I got a thing from the treasurer, it was around $46,000. Prior to this, I guess.
Right.
All right, so that'll drop it down around 39,000.
We have funds coming in from the festival this weekend, 5,500 coming from the Harvest Festival, because they weren't here before, so they're paying the fees. He's on his way up to pay Lisa now.
Okay, make sure you get the check.
Got a hold of
Make sure
him
you
over
get
the
the check.
weekend.
I was on vacation.
All right, so
Yeah,
anybody
she
have
was on
any
vacation
questions
last
on
week.
these bills, or? All right, make a motion to accept them, Ms. Wood, Mr. Dickinson, all in favor?
Aye.
Passed, opposed, passed. All right, we'll start with then on the quote, the second one was the stage, no?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, we, received a grant through Senator Betty Little's office through the New York State Dormitory Authority for $200,000 for the construction of a portable stage. And, I turned over specifications to the county purchasing agent. She's drafted, specs that are ready to be put out to bid, and they're currently being reviewed by, Jeff's, committee. And we filed our paperwork. There was a great deal of paperwork that had to go in, after the announcement that we received the funding. And, we completed that paperwork and sent it in 2 weeks ago, and then, I got a hold of someone at the Dormitory Authority, and they told me that, they probably will not have time to review that paperwork for 5 or 6 months. So, at best, at best, she said they're way backed up, and Chairman Garrity warned me about this, because he's dealing with them, I think, on a salt shed. Probably we wouldn't get the okay. We don't want to go to bid, obviously, until they say our paperwork is completed and approved. So we won't be going to bid, probably, and we probably will not have the stage, obviously, for next season. So, we're all set to go. Once we get the, approval from them, we should be able to go out to bid, and, the lead time from the companies that, we expected, and I gave the purchasing agent a list of 5 companies that had contacted me that were interested in it. The lead time to construct is about 3 to 4 months, so I would guess we probably wouldn't. The thing that I would like this committee to be thinking about, and perhaps it may not be this committee, it may be some other, is that this is a reimbursable grant. It's expected that with the price of the stage, when it comes in with the extras, that the committee has recommended we purchase will be somewhere around $275,000. That means that we'll be reimbursed $200,000, and we'll still have $75,000 to pay. The village's budget is not such that presently that we could put that in there, and I'm not certain where this committee or the county would recommend we actually pay for that stage out of. I don't know if occupancy tax is one of the proper sources, but otherwise somewhere we've got to budget $200,000 or $275,000 either by the county or by the village to pay for this stage up front. But again, it won't happen until 2017.
Probably 18 before even, spring of 18 before.
Well, before we get it, it could very well be. But again, I just want to put that out now, that somewhere either in the village budget, and our budget is already done, and we're in it, obviously, somewhere in the village budget or the county budget, we need to advance approximately $275,000, waiting for reimbursement for $200,000. And where is that extra $75,000 going to come from? The village is prepared to pay it out of our budget, but I know it should go through the county committee. So whatever that process is, I'd suggest that you start it now, so we can at least know where the money for the stage is going to come from.
Probably we should do it the 2/3, 1/3, right?
Well, we could.
That's the way I would say.
We
you know.
could.
It should be that you pay the village pays 1/3 and the county pays 2/3. That's,
Could.
we splitting that, right?
Yep.
But that's down the road. You're more interested right now, we gotta come up with a positive funding source of $200,000.
$275,000.
Well, 200 right now so that you'd have, in the budget, or the 200, the whole 275?
Yes, because that's what we believe the bids are gonna come in, up to. We think it'll come in more like 260 or.
The way that would work on the grant is as long as we have a written grant agreement for the 200, the treasurer's office will book that on as a anticipated revenue, and they'll offset it with the 200,000 of expense. So it's not really a budget, it's an offset in the budget, as long as there's a written agreement before the money's actually expended.
Okay.
So hopefully that's how the dormitory authority would award a grant before we have to spend any money. Is that what they're telling you?
I'm, at the end of them reviewing the paperwork, she told me we're going to get a contract. And at that time we'll sign the contract, and she said you should go to bid. So I'll get that contract.
So the only thing that would have to be budgeted would be the 75,000 that would be
Right.
the
Later on.
unreimbursed portion.
Right. And I mean, the village is willing to pay our 1/3 of that and put it in our budget next year, which
Right.
we will in June. But I'm just alerting the county that there'll be some extra funds, that we'll need to get.
Well, we got the budget officer here. I mean, Frank, would you like to handle that? Should we put it in the budget for the 200,000?
Yeah, you won't need it.
We don't need it.
You won't need it now, no.
Oh, 62, 20, 38, I'm sorry. Yes.
How does the stage qualify for funding from the dormitory authority?
It's a, structure.
Okay.
It's a structure, and they fund structures.
Good thing there's a precedent here.
What did you get, Kevin? You got a salt shed, didn't you?
Well, just so you know, this is the funding source they use for all their projects now.
Yeah.
It's the dormitory authority, so,
Really?
yep. And, but the process is a year to a year and a half before you'll even get your, application approved, so we won't need this money till 2018, I'll bet you.
That's what I'm thinking.
I wouldn't budget for it if it was me, but, how long you been waiting there, young man? Yeah.
I'm not so young. It's been about a year and a third.
It's been a year on his museum.
Yeah, so I don't think we need to worry about it now, but I just wanted to alert everyone that it's gonna be, we think the bids are gonna come in about 260, 270, and the grant's for 200,000. That's the main thing.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Mayor, is there a match on the grant?
No, it's 100%. It's one of the legislature's,
It's a pork barrel.
line, yeah, it's one of those, what they call a pork or hamburger, or whatever it is. They, it's one of those type of grants, and the dormitory authority administers it. It's 100%, yeah, so.
All right, any other questions on that? So, I mean, did we decide on how we're gonna go ahead with getting the funding that he needs,
I don't know that we need to now.
No? Okay, that's good.
Just keep it in mind.
Yeah.
Keep it in mind, all right, that's good. Number 2 on here about the Wi-Fi, what we come up with that?
Yeah, we had discussed probably earlier this spring about putting public Wi-Fi in the festival commons to serve, people using the park even during the week, you know, casually with their families, and then also during events, it would, allow attendees to the events to have Wi-Fi, and our thought was that there might be some spin-off effect of ongoing marketing through, you know, people posting pictures on Facebook and other things as events are going on. So the last time I brought it up, the committee wanted some specifics on costs. I talked with Mike Colvin, and he said budgetarily he would say about $100 a month for the service, and he said the equipment with what we have there already would be reasonable. It'd be a few $100s in equipment and $100 a month in cost. So that's where we're at with it. I will say it is more and more common that there's public Wi-Fi in assembly spaces. It's really rare nowadays that you don't have public Wi-Fi. We could try it, and if it doesn't work out, or it seems like people aren't utilizing it, we could cancel it, or we could,
And it's only $100 a month, what about?
that's for the service, that's for the internet service.
Cause I just got stuck, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I mean, that's why I was gonna say, what are we worried about it for? I just got stuck for almost $3,000 making what they call a campus around my business, so that my whole property can get that. And then,
Enough
and there
front
was
cost?
no, that was from a technology company, and then all of a sudden when we did that, then Time Warner says, well, then you have to jack up all your stuff inside your house, so that was another $400 a month.
Yeah,
So I don't
know what exactly they're proposing for you, but, you know, Mike Colvin could, he can work up a plan if the committee wants to pursue it. The thought wouldn't be that we'd have full coverage on the entire park, and maybe that's where they're talking, if you're doing retransmissions across the entire property, then there would be additional hardware all over the park. But if we located it in the park building, we would probably get a portion of the festival space near the park building, and certainly the skateboard park and that area within a radius around that building is what we were thinking. We weren't thinking about any remote antennas or, you know, additional transmitters out across the park.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we proceed and get some definite numbers and plans from Mike.
Can we get a second on that?
I'll second.
Ms. Wood? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
What's your source of funding gonna be, parking?
Well, it'll come out of the 6228, right?
What I'll,
That's where it's gonna come out of.
once I have the upfront costs, we have the deferred revenue, that would be the appropriate place for it. And then, we'll just have to budget that if we proceed and it's $100 a month, it would become a line item, utility cost as part of the operating budget.
And just, one other thing, Mayor, just to bring up, and it's probably a sore subject as usual, but that water park feature. I mean, way back, I think January, February, we authorized $150,000, that never happened so far, right?
No, actually, we have a meeting this afternoon at 1 o'clock, PMEC meeting, and the designer is going to bring a conceptual, some plans in for the water feature. He's changed them dramatically from what we saw when it looked like it was gonna be a swimming pool, and we needed restrooms and changing area. We did away with a swimming pool, or he did.
That's good.
And he's bringing in a conceptual drawing of the water fountain. That's the last element that the park really, we've got to
Well, just
achieve.
also, I was talking with Lisa, I mean, if it's not spent by December 31st, then you gotta reapply for it again in January.
Okay.
And then this, it goes back into the reserve fund, and then we take it
Oh,
out.
okay,
again.
'cause we'll
Just
have to
so you know.
let them know that, okay.
All right, information to discuss. You wanna take care, Mr. Blaze, on the
The-
quotes?
Well, the state requires that we have some plaques put up, honoring the people that, had something to do with the park. So, it took me 3 months to get the plaque approved by the state, but I did. And, this is it. It has Governor Andrew Cuomo's on there, and Rosanna Rosado, who is the present Secretary of State, and, Matt Driscoll, who is the DOT, Chairman Garrity, myself, the Fund for Lake George Association, the Lake George Land Conservancy. And then, our idea was to put the plaque on one pillar as you go into the festival space,
On the back
and
of
to
it.
balance it off, we, came up, the committee, with another one, which actually gives the name of the park, Charles R. Wood Park Festival Space and Nature Trails. This park and the associated walking trails were conceived and built through the cooperation and commitment of local municipalities and not-for-profit organizations. This property is the realization of a shared vision that protecting Lake George water is essential, and that protection can go hand in hand with public space that is open to all, accessible to all, and for the benefit of all. To our community, we dedicate this space. Village of Lake George, Warren County, Lake George Association, Lake George Land Conservancy, and the Fund for Lake George. Those are the owners. We received 3 quotes. The lowest was Broadway Marketing, and the 2 plaques together, they're 24 by 24, so they're pretty large bronze plaques, are $1,685. Our intention is to submit this signage through our grant, and hopefully they'll approve it. But these are basically the markup of the plaques as were approved by us and by the state now.
I think they're $1,600 apiece.
They're $1,685 apiece, yes.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get that covered under our present grant. We have some money in there.
All right. So that we can make a, you need a motion to go ahead with that, because you wanna get them done for the spring, right?
We'd like to get them ordered, and get them on there. We've missed, of course, most of right now, there isn't really anything that identifies what the park is, what it's all about, so on. The 3 E's are conceiving another sign for the opposite side that they're gonna make over on the wetlands, to explain what the wetlands do and what you're looking at and so on. But the 3 E's are taking care of that completely.
Make a motion to move that.
Ms. Wood? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. All right. How about, let's talk about the BMX bicycles?
Well, they're still being used there. We haven't changed anything. We did get a quote from the insurance company that, if we were to continue to have those uses, we would have to pay an additional $285 in insurance.
A month or a year?
Per year. The village, wanted to continue the use, and we were trying to get in time for this meeting, quite a dissertation from the, designer of the park, who I talked to over the telephone. I don't have that yet. He promised it for me today, but he didn't get it to me. Explaining that the park is designed for those uses. The fear of the insurance company, and what I read, was the fact that scooters and bicycles have different appurtenances to them. They got handlebars and pedals and things that people could fall on and get injured. And but in any event, we're still proceeding to get that information together. We've had no problems there yet. We haven't had any reports of any injuries, and the use of those 2 devices have been extensive.
Kevin, you have something to say?
Yeah, our carrier took a different stance. They're not for opening up to bikes or scooters, and, you know, I mean, seeing as we hold 68% of the, I don't think we hold any of this, but it's county property, you know, we'll be one of the deep pockets on there if somebody gets hurt.
Right.
You know, I think, I don't know how you feel, but based on what our attorney's office has said, we really shouldn't allow them, but that's up to the committee and that's up to the board here. They do take a different view on the bikes.
You know, that was in their letter that I got, that,
Yeah.
it wasn't so much the design of the park or the fact that the devices they're using is more prone to
And you know,
injured on than a skateboard.
we all know that most insurance carriers are gonna take that stance.
Yeah.
They do it on everything we do, own,
Yeah.
so. I just put that out there. Did I state it right, Mary?
You did.
Well, I can attest to the fact that the park is busy all the time, morning, noon, and night. And they're mostly, skateboarders and bicycles. If I had my druthers, I'd do it with a bicycle before I got on another damn skateboard, but,
At your age.
some of us are slow learners, but, I don't know, I think that would detract from it if we didn't let them use the bicycles. Scooters, you're not talking about Vespas, you're talking about,
No, there's
inline
little
scooters.
tiny
Yeah,
scooters.
they're like a
Yeah.
skateboard with the handlebars, you know,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Yeah, I don't,
Well, how do we handle that there for attorney?
Well,
So-
I mean, you
so
have
the-
to get
you
an
have a
extra
different insurance
coverage.
company then, not the
Well,
same
we
one the
passed a
county.
local law that, included scooters and bikes. The village is willing to pay the extra premium, only because we've been, you know, we're in a little different situation. We've been working with these young kids. They actually raised $6,646 this summer towards the next phase. And, they came to our meeting and they pleaded with us, you know, we all have scooters and skateboards, we got them all. And when we go there, we bring them all, and when we wanna use them all. So, we're in a little different, you know, situation, and I understand certainly the liability.
But couldn't you, purchase the extra coverage and put us as an additional insured?
Of
I mean,
course.
It's never gonna stop somebody from suing us, but.
No, we're willing to pay the extra premium,
That, Mary.
through the village, and they actually, the young people said, take it out of our account, of which they have over 8,000 in now. So, but yes, if we did that, we would, obviously, the county's already named on the policy.
My initial suggestion was that maybe we cancel our coverage on the park and the village can take over as the primary insured and we can just be named as an additional insured.
Just for that part of the, portion of the park.
If that's what the board wants to do, that's fine.
Okay, so,
Fine with me.
a motion on, moving forward with that? But Jeff, before we make the motion, hold on.
Go ahead. I
Wait
can
a
talk
minute.
now or after you make a motion, and I think though, to follow up on it, the board, the county board has passed rules for that skate park that forbid those, so I think in conjunction with whatever motion the committee's gonna take, if it's in conflict with those rules, then we need to modify
Modify
those
those
rules
rules.
as well.
All right, so we have to do that through the DPW.
No, that would come through here.
Through here, okay,
well, I'd like to make a motion that we allow them
okay.
first. And in that motion, accept the mayor's proposal for
Payment,
payment.
and how about modifying the rules?
That's included, yeah, that they can use, scooters and, bikes, BMX bikes.
Or, I guess
ahead.
the other, and the county attorney's office would have to weigh in after they get a chance to review it or discuss it further, but if the intent is to put the insurance completely on the village for that park, then maybe the county doesn't even need rules, and it's up to the village to set the rules. I'm just saying maybe, I don't know. So I don't know if it's appropriate if we're still setting rules for something that we're saying the village has all the liability for.
Yeah. You weren't talking about the whole park, were you?
I don't know how, I'm not sure how insurance works, so I don't know if they're gonna be able to take out just the skate park. I mean, if they can, that's,
I think we could. It's certainly a designated, it's certainly a designated area, and it's signed as you walk in. Perhaps you could talk to Matt Fuller, and it's agreeable to do that if it's possible.
Gotcha.
Get a
as far as
carnival
I'm
there,
concerned,
play
yeah.
from the village.
Name,
Yeah.
and we'd only name the county just for that portion of the park.
Skateboard park.
Just the skateboard.
All right, so then, let me understand, the motion would be, under the advice of the attorney checking it out, we can go ahead and have Village of Lake George
Rules are just like
have the skate park pay the extra, insurance, and they will come up with the rules and regulations for the use of that.
Which we already have, yeah.
Okay, you already have it, okay? Is that okay, the way? Okay. Jeff, you all right with that? All right, now we need the motion, I got a motion on that, and do we have a second?
Second that.
All right, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Just see
And
what
we're gonna pass on the temporary stage right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And 2017 events you were gonna bring in?
Well, we've got, we had 6 events there this year. As you know, the last 2 music festivals, the American Music Festival broke all of our attendance records. He had 2,800 for his Saturday show, and the one bad event we had, of course, with Jonathan Newell with the Strand Theater, that was during a big storm, and the tent got damaged, all of their equipment got damaged, but he still ended up, because of pre-sales, making some money, so he's indicated he's coming back next year. The good news is we're working on 14 different events for next year as compared to 6 this year, which will bring in revenue somewhere in the vicinity of around $45,000. Some of the new events are the barbershop competition, May 5th and 7th. The law enforcement weekend is moving along. That's a brand new event we're working on, inviting law enforcement officers from all over the country to come here and compete in various events, and we've got tremendous cooperation with that. That's May 19th and 20th. The Estra Tow Truck Show is coming back June 2nd through the 4th. That was left us for a couple of years in Lake George, and now they're coming back to the festival space. Working with an international film festival, July 10th through the 12th. That's a Monday through a Wednesday. We've signed a reenactment camping facility for 2 days in conjunction with the Fort William Henry's anniversary. There'll be an encampment there for 2 days, August 25th through the 27th. Wild Adriatic, the local band, is working on a band competition. Also meeting with a gentleman from Vermont looking to do a wood carver's trade show there. We booked a barbecue competition the 3rd week in August. The Shriners are working on a circus, and a local group is picking up the beer and food festival that Bill Mason used to do on Labor Day weekend, and they're going to try to come up with a new beer and food festival for next year as well, and also a new music festival on Labor Day weekend. So I just want to report the outlook for the festival space is very healthy, and particularly with a variety of these groups. They're not all music festivals, which we know don't usually work on top of one another, but there's such a variety here. Americade has not signed up for next year. They were looking for the space free, they got it this year. I took my liberty to tell them no, they had to pay. And the car show, Adirondack National Car Show, is already signed up for 3 years in advance.
Well, that sounds really great, Mr. Mayor, you're doing a great job on that. But can I ask you one thing? Anything that you have already done or guaranteed for next year? Can you send us a list to the
Yeah,
tourism
please.
department so that we can
Lisa
have
has
it?
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, we can
And
start
I'll
thinking
update
about
this, too.
promoting it early?
Yeah, we've been feeding it to,
Okay.
as soon as we can.
All right, anything else?
No.
Any questions to the mayor? All right, privilege to the floor. Anybody else have anything, comment to make? Motion to adjourn? Ms. Wood, all in favor?
Aye.
I just have
We're
to
adjourned.
I'll just put it here.
Even